Hello, Skelevaderites, and those of you who are just curious and tuning in to see what this weekly weirdo thing is all about. I am excited about today's weirdo that I've chosen. Of course, this is for those of you who are new to the channel or new to this particular series on my channel. I spend a good half an hour almost every Sunday presenting an item or a few items from my collection to share with you all and sort of celebrate something that already exists in a collection. Part of that is a reaction to a lot of folks focusing on getting new stuff, and there's so much new stuff out there for modern toy collectors or for adult toy collectors. So this is a unique one because I am looking at, I shouldn't say it's a unique one. It happens a lot here. But today I'm going to be looking at something that is in my collection, has been for a while, and also something that is new, that is related directly. So got a couple people watching here, which is awesome. And first, I want to welcome Speaking Moistly, who is in the chat, saying hello, people kind. Hello, Speaking. Great to see you here. And their guess is Whiplash. I think this is awesome. Whiplash. That's a very good guess based on the image on the thumbnail for this. And for those of you who aren't aware watching this, I do create thumbnails that have little hints. Some of them are more cryptic than others. This week's hint was pretty on the money. So Speaking Moistly, that's a very good guess. And Carole Geis, great to see you as usual. Fantastic to have you back. And HP Brown Sauce Craft is here too. Awesome. Great to see you here again. Was thinking about you the other day, actually. I might be reaching out soon. All right. So today's weekly weirdo. First, I'm going to have a sip of my water. Let's talk about this. So this is a character that I don't talk about too often, though I do have a deep appreciation for him. And so let's get right into it. And as usual on Weekly Weirdo, I go in order of acquisition. So I'm going to start off with the first one that I got. And we're diving into Masters of the Universe territory again. And absolutely, Speaking Moistly, you are correct. It is Whiplash today. And I'm going to start off with my first acquisition with this particular character. And it just happens to be that when I was recollecting some of the old vintage figures from my collection, he was one of the first that I came across for a very good deal on eBay, the vintage version with his weapon of Whiplash here. And this character, I had him as a kid, and I enjoyed playing with him. There were other characters that I preferred to play with, like Clawful and Stinkor and Mossman. But Whiplash was always there in my scenarios. I'd always have him in the bag when I'd take him out and play with him out in the wilderness, behind our house. And this guy's great. I want to talk a little bit about the wonkiness that makes me love him so much. And then we're going to get into, I'll save that. But first, I want to show you the thing that I loved about this character the most from the very beginning. Loved it the most, and also was most perplexed by this. His weird face. I'm just going to be frank. He's got sort of a smile going on, bushy eyebrows, adorable little horns here popping up, and then this strange tooth configuration, a tooth that seems to be coming out from the top here, from right below the nose down. So not part of the mouth, but outside of the mouth. And then the two teeth poking up from the bottom, which is something that would happen a lot with cartoon characters, the protruding under teeth, harkening back to Universal Werewolf or the Wolfman. El Tenda, good to have you here. All right, so El Tenda knows all about the Wolfman. All right. Then I was lucky enough that he came with his weapon, which is great to have. And like I said, I got him for a very good deal. I always felt like, and this is another thing we're going to get into in a little bit, I always felt like his tail was wimpy. And as a kid, I was a little bit disappointed that it was hollow. But I did enjoy, I did sort of go through a period of time where I was obsessed with alligators and crocodiles, primarily crocodiles. And it could have been because of Whiplash. It could have been because of later on, a little bit later on, Crocmaster from G.I. Joe. But I did get into that animal, and I draw that animal a lot. And but I do love the alligator inspired or crocodile inspired tail on Whiplash. A little joke that my wife and I have with him. He's so funny. So at night, sometimes I'll put on Masters of the Universe, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Filmation cartoon as we're sort of going to sleep. And whenever he's in an episode and he uses his tail, he's always doing a sort of fabulous twist with a little smirk, almost slightly effeminate, like he's turning his hiney out and doing a little whip with his tail. And he's always pleased with himself. And so that's always funny. We always get a kick out of that. He's a blast to watch in the Filmation cartoon. I love the little details. I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure Masters of the Universe fans out there have noticed this, but he's got these interesting little nodules behind his ears. And there's just a lot going on with this character, even though he's so simple. And when we think about these characters, like Buzz Off uses the same chest, and Clawful use the same legs, and Skeletor's arms, and then you have this unique head, and you have this unique tail. He's a special guy. Even with all the reused parts, he is certainly his own character. I love his face sculpt. And that's something that seems to have been abandoned in the most recent version, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Then the second version of this character that I did pick up was the Origins version, which, you know, if you have this, you should be pleased, because he is essentially the vintage figure, but with all the things that bugged me as I'm sure you, if you were a child of the early 80s, that bugged you about this character is fixed in this version. His tail is quite stiff. It is articulated. You can turn it if you want, and it's solid. It's a solid plastic rather than that flimsy, empty plastic. It is a little strange that we'll get into this maybe a little bit later on, but Ratlore that was released through Origins has a very similar, the vintage Ratlore had a very similar tail to the vintage Whiplash, but they opted to give him the sort of empty and more flimsy tail in Origins, which is, I think folks who are into Snake Man more than I am maybe got a little disappointed with that, because this is a fantastic tail. The mold looks virtually the same for this, except that it's a more sturdy plastic. I'm looking at the back here, and the head as well. So they even maintain that strange tooth that comes down from the nose. If anyone has an explanation as to why that is there from the lore that I'm not aware of, please do let me know here in the chat. And Speaking Moistly says, Whiplash is a great character, even if Skeletor calls him Wimplash. Yes, that's so true. Skeletor is just is a jerk to his minions, and that's part of what endears us to him. So yeah, the Origins Whiplash is fantastic. And if any of you watch Toy Frenzy on Thursday nights, you probably saw that I picked up the Masterverse Whiplash, and I've been hesitant to get this guy, mainly because he's a deluxe figure, and the $32.99 price point was a little bit high for me. Like I think about the prices I want to pay for these figures a lot, and when Clawful came out, he's at a similar price point, but I without hesitation wanted to get Clawful because this particular version of Clawful was fantastic, the Masterverse version. Plus, I just love Clawful. He's always been one of my upper echelon favorites. There's something about the head sculpt on the Masterverse Whiplash that I feel like does the opposite. It doesn't quite honor the vintage figure as much, and it is a little bit sort of, well, I'm gonna share this image. I snagged this from Battle Ram blog. Those of you who watch Toy Frenzy are aware of who that is. That's Adam. He's one of the hosts on Toy Frenzy. And it's also here in this book from the Power and Honor Foundation, this illustration. This is an illustration of the first version of Whiplash to be drawn up. And this is an illustration by Colin Bailey. And it seems like they were trying to get, I'll make this bigger in just a little bit. It seems like they were trying to get with the new Eternia Masters figures, they're taking a lot of inspiration from the preliminary artwork, or and it seemed like they were trying to get that with this head sculpt, but not quite. And then in doing so, not quite accomplishing what I, as a fan of the vintage line, loved so much about Whiplash, was his weird face. They kind of made this Whiplash, a little gentler. We'll get a close look at it here in a second. But he did come with the exact helmet that is featured here in the illustration. Let me just make myself bigger again here. The exact helmet. And the helmet is incredible, actually. He does I tried him on a couple of different figures. Oh, I didn't try it on my Origins figure yet. We'll try that. I tried it on a couple of other figures. It doesn't quite fit other Masterverse figures' heads as much as it does Whiplash. In fact, it's got the ridge in there, so it fits perfectly on there. Just got to get it on. Yeah, so it fits perfectly on, and they could have easily given us a two heads, a sculpt with the helmet on and a sculpt without. I kind of wish they had done that, given us this head with the helmet, and then a more vintage inspired head. And I'm going to switch the head off the Origins and Masterverse here just to show you. I did think that it might work. I think this is better. It's kind of great, but the green is off. Of course, with Origins, the green is always brighter. And I think this is pretty fantastic. But those of you who are willing and you have extra Whiplashes lying around, you might want to customize that and get the paint a little bit closer. But I think that is, if I'd gotten something like this, or if I'd seen something closer to this when they announced the new Eternia Whiplash, and if he came with this head with the helmet on, let me get it back on there, as a separate head, I would have paid the $32.99. But I did luck out the other day. I went to Target on my lunch break, and I saw that Whiplash was half off, the Masterverse Whiplash, half off, folks. So keep an eye out for the helmet does not fit very well on there. Keep an eye out at your targets. It was 16 something, which was an amazing price. And so I couldn't resist it. And now that I got him out, aside from my complaints about the head sculpt, I love everything else about this figure. The body sculpt is great. He's larger than most of the other figures. You know, he's bulky like the Masterverse New Eternia Beastman and the Masterverse New Eternia Too Bad. He's got that bulkiness. And then I just love what they decided to do with the tail and the alligator inspired back there. It's just hulking. And the tail, it's got a wire in there so you can bend it if you want. It's pretty great. But notice I don't have the other armor on him. I love, let me just add this in here. I really love the preliminary artwork for this, but it's a miss. I feel like Mattel this is my critique. Mattel kind of missed an opportunity here. As it is with some of these new Eternia figures, they're trying to balance the vintage figure, the preliminary artwork, the concept artwork, and then maybe even tie in a little bit of the Mike Young Productions 2000X, or tie in something here, something there. They did a great job of that with Clawful, but I feel like with Whiplash, they really mainly went for a vintage figure inspired look, and then they added on some armor. It doesn't quite, it has the right colors of the concept art, but it doesn't quite have the same feel as the concept art. And the spines on his back, as you can see here, are giant purple spiky things. And then his legs are yellow and he's got furry. They did give us some of the fur. I'm going to bring this back here. They did give us some of the fur here on his legs, which is good. It's like sculpted in. I love what they did with his feet. He's got like rooster feet, which is very cool because dinosaurs are birds. And so they missed I think they missed a little bit here. They did give us some wrist braces. I'm going to go ahead and change this to, yeah. Oh no, let me make myself bigger here. Wrist braces, or what are they called? Gauntlets? If Oz was here, he would tell me. Yeah, they're not quite the same as this design either. This is sort of, the wrist parts are more like Batman, I guess I'd describe it. It would have been cool to have had a figure that went hard into concept territory. That would have been pretty darn cool. Look at that torch there he has. He does come with a torch as well, which is cool. This is actually a fantastic aspect or element that comes with the figure. And then you take the fire off and he could sort of bash your head in with this sort of empty torch mace type of thing. Yeah, pretty darn great. This is cool. But so for display purposes, I have him with the axe, which he came with, and without any of the armor, and with his, of course, with his vintage inspired orange spear. Again, if I ever happen to come across a Whiplash, an Origins Whiplash that's affordable, I might consider getting it and making the paint, putting it on this body and painting it to match the green a little bit more, because I think that's fantastic. Because I do love vintage Whiplash. This is definitely, he sits on my shelf behind me here with great prominence. He's a very special figure. I played with him a lot as a kid, and I just love that face. Beastman's face is fantastic. Merman's face is fantastic. The villains' faces are all great. And I think this is nice to have just because he's kind of badass. He's tough. He's huge. He's hulking, but his face, he's not weird enough maybe for me. He's not sinister enough either. Maybe he's not. He's got a cute little nose. He's got kind of pretty eyes. His ears are great. His little horns are fantastic. I love the protruding teeth underneath, but he does kind of, I'm missing that weird tooth. Like, I can understand why they're like, logically, that makes no sense at all. Whoever came up with that, what were they thinking? But at the same time, it adds to sort of the mystique of Whiplash, which is kind of missing here. Hey, Oz, great to have you here. Thanks for stopping by. I was just saying, you probably know what these are called. Wrist gauntlets or something. I can never remember the terminology for this. While you're here, maybe you can chime in with that information. Whiplash is one of my favorites. He's a lizard man. He's a throwback to the dinosaurs. And he's got fantastic colors: green, orange, and like a dark blue, navy blue. What great colors this guy has. One thing I do want to say about the Masterverse figure is his loincloth is great. I've seen some Masterverse loincloths that are okay, but they did a great job with this. It's very simple. It's the hairy stuff, and it's got a very cool version of the vintage belt. But yeah, this is worth it for 16 something. It ended up being like $16.99, I think, as opposed to $32.99. And I know some people are going to differ with me, and I get it. But you know, for a figure like this, $16.99 seemed great. That's basically what we used to pay. We used to pay 14 something for Origins figures when they first started coming out, and we've kind of missed I missed that. I missed that price point. Now we're up to almost $20 for these if we get them. $18 for Spikor on Mattel Creations. I'm really tempted because I love Spikor. But you know, I got the vintage Spikor behind me, and he's great. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I appreciate you being here. If you're interested in becoming a patron of the Skelevator channel and supporting what happens here on the channel, and also supporting what happens with Toy Frenzy on Thursday nights, you will get a Toy Frenzy sticker. I will gladly send this out to you. And for new patrons, once you sign on, it could be at the lowest amount, which is $3 a month. I will paint a painting for you. It won't be as big as this, but they are about this size. Yeah, they're this size. So it's not too big of a size difference. But I will paint a character of your choice and send it off to you with the sticker if you are interested in supporting this channel. I understand money's tight for everybody, so it's totally doesn't matter if you do that or not. The funds do support the channel and the activities here. In fact, the Patreon funds helped make these stickers possible. So much appreciated to those of you who are patrons of the channel. Thank you so much. And I also want to send a big thank you to everybody who tuned in today. I really appreciate you being here. Those of you who tune in to the stuff that happens on the Skelevator channel, those of you who tune in to Toy Frenzy and Weekly Weirdo, you're all great people. Really appreciate every one of you. And it's just amazing to me that this is still going on. Episode 30 of this, we're coming up on we're almost at 60 episodes. We just had 60th episode, I think. Or if that was the 59th, I think. Coming up on 60 episodes of Toy Frenzy. Pretty amazing stuff. And yeah, Oz saying here, Whiplash is definitely awesome. That's right. Anyways, thank you all for being here. And I'm going to say the long goodbye.